Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Squatchers Lounge podcast, Super Fan Edition. That's right. As always, we bring our man Dean Cooper into the house for a little bit of quasi fun during the holiday season, and that is where we are tonight. There is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Dean Cooper. All right, so we've got.
Good to see you.
Look at the birdie.
Yeah, ignore the parrot. She's trying to get my headphones.
Well, birds do that and all. Such a pretty bird. She doesn't hear me, or I get her squawking for you. What we could do is just really piss everybody off and go, "Okay, Google, look up African Congo parrot."
Yeah, you're okay if you stay there.
Now everybody will know what kind of African gray parrot you have. Oh, God, that's funny. Sorry, people, but I have the power of Google. All right. We're talking about, we're hanging out tonight with Dean, talking about some of our favorite quasi theories. Sorry, I'm having some cognitive abilities, people. I'm still sick. I don't want to be, but unfortunately I am, and here we are, and yeah, so there's all of that. I'm trying to get it back to where we belong over here. There we go. And so Dean's going to have to help me kind of go through this tonight, but the first one we were going to start off with tonight was an occurrence at Mungest Road.
Munger Road.
Munger Road. And we'll give you guys a chance to give it a listen, and then we'll find out the background and the details of what led to the occurrence at Munger Road. You ready, Dean?
Sure, go ahead.
An occurrence on Munger Road. Munger Road, somewhat famous as being haunted, is in northern Illinois, about 30 miles west of Lake Michigan. There is even a movie titled Munger Road that is based very loosely on some of the scary stories about the road that are still told around the area. My family has its own stories about it that we actually experienced, and they occurred before anybody else thought the road was haunted. I shall proceed to recount one of them. Back around 35 to 40 years ago, back when the area west of Chicago was mainly small towns surrounded by farmers' fields, my brother Daryl and I, and no, I don't have another brother Daryl, so let's keep the Newhart show out of this, would go to Munger Road just to feel how creepy it was. Sometimes we'd go at night, sometimes during the day. It could be pretty creepy anytime. One day, I can't remember if it was in the early spring or the late fall, other than that the farmer's field on the east side of the road was brown stubble and the grass in the forest reserve on the west side was not greening up yet. We parked on the side of the road and walked around a bit. Daryl wandered up a low hill into the farmer's field while I examined the water in the roadside ditch. I always looked in any body of water I am near for frogs, bugs, water snakes, or anything biologically interesting. Daryl suddenly yelled something like, "Oh God, they're killing them," or words to that effect. I stopped ditch delving and ran across the road and up the hill. He was on his knees crying and mumbling about the burning teepees, the dead women, children, and braves he could see. He said he could smell the smoke from the campfires. I saw nothing, I smelled nothing, but I heard sounds coming from the west side of the road. I went back over there and clearly heard musket fire and men yelling in French, but just kind of faintly, more like the tail end of echoes. There is no record of anything of the sort ever happening there. Munger Road is in DuPage County, which is named after the French trapper DuPage, who had a station on the DuPage River, oddly enough. French voyagers followed the rivers all over Illinois, but Munger Road is a couple of miles from the nearest rivers, so the Frenchies were unlikely to be there. Illinois is the Frenchified version of the name of the Illiniwek, or Illini Tribal Confederation, but much of northeastern Illinois belonged to the Potawatomi tribe, who are not in the Illini Confederation. The Potawatomi did not use teepees. They built dome-shaped wigwams and rectangular lodges with bark covering called longhouses, so no teepees were there to be burnt. No teepees, no Frenchmen, therefore no massacre and no ghosts. In my experience and intellectual inclinations, there are non-physical entities, not terribly smart entities, that like to play tricks on humans. I brought them up in previous Quasi Theories. They are the good folk, the seed of the Celts, the fairies. They pick up thoughts and ideas from your head and use them to play with you. My siblings and I were just getting into all things Native American back then. The local fairies grabbed that and ran over us with it. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
Bydean.com. I love that. It's like the worst spelling of bydean.com ever, but to say the least. So here is the area of Munger Road that this happened.
Yeah, all that on the right side, all that is newer housing. It was built in the early 90s, if I remember right, because we would have been having this French-Indian war thing going on probably right around 1980. And it would have been, let's see, if you see where that little road is about halfway down the map, it would have been right around there.
On the Forest Preserve.
Yeah, well, that that road wasn't there. It was all farmers' field on the east side of the road, and the west side had already been turned into a forest reserve.
Yes, the Pratt's Wayne, Woods County.
Woods County, yeah.
Forest Preserve on that side.
Yeah. I got no idea who Pratt was. Don't know who Wayne was, but it is a town of what we would call the Horsey sect. They have their own little polo field. They have their own little jumping areas. That kind of area.
And what's really strange about that is everything else around that is built up, except for that spot.
Well, that spot there, going from Munger Road west, much of that is, even that area there that's not built up, where they didn't put the houses, that's part of the Pratt's Wayne Woods.
Youth group campsite, the Pratt's Wayne Woods. Yep, sure enough. That's all part of it there. That's
that road was creepy as hell. Even now, if you go down at the right time of the night, the west side is still pretty creepy. There was actually, would have been back in the 50s, there's on the north end of that map, towards the north side of it, there's a railroad that Munger Road crosses.
What the living crap?
I don't know. You clicked something, Jeffrey.
There we go. We fixed it.
Zoom in, you see the railroad there.
I don't see a railroad. Where am I supposed to be looking for a railroad?
See where there's where Munger Road is, which is pretty straight. Where you see there's like a crossroads. Zoom in far, that's a railroad. Twin track railroad.
Sure enough. There it is.
Right near Munger Road, there's a side track to the railroad. Some lady was found killed dead in her car there back in the late 50s. So some people think that's where the haunting started. But no, I think it's nature spirits, fairies, something like that.
Well, we always wonder, if there are other life forms on Earth that might not be carbon based, and well, if they're methane based, then I've been giving birth a lot this week.
Well, you get rid of them by just lighting your farts.
Well, that's it. That's how you get them. I
Oops,
guess
they're
that's a
gone.
methane abortion. Is that how that
Yeah,
works? Methane being
well, it's
abortion.
post birth though, so I don't know.
God, that's awful.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
just god awful. Sorry, folks. We are in a very I am in a very weird place right now. I am trying very hard not to go anywhere weirder.
Anyways,
Okay.
we're going to watch for anybody questioning in the side
I
chat.
was just I was just about to say there's you guys are welcome to post up questions in the side chat about any of the stories that we're covering tonight or any questions that you'd like us to answer about them. Munger Road is one of those cases where, did it happen or was it all just a figment of one guy's imagination who was able to affect everybody else with his own horror?
No, I think it was fairies picking up on my brother Daryl was especially really heavily into Native American stuff. So his head, this is we're in our 30s at the time. But yeah, he just got real intense.
All right. Well, let's give this sucker round number 2. Round number 2, I got to do this because it's a different type of form because, well, you decided to send me something strange. And so now I have to do it a different way, but it's okay. Oh, my God. There it is. Solar flares. That's right. We're going to talk to us about some solar flares. And away we go.
Solar flares are electrifying. Solar flares make for pretty northern lights and southern lights. The bigger the flare, the bigger the lights. The flare has to be aimed and timed just right, though, to hit the Earth. A British amateur astronomer, Richard Carrington, was the first one to observe a solar flare back on September 1st, 1859. Actually, another British astronomer, one Richard Hodgson, saw it at the same time, but somehow Carrington got first dibs on it. The Carrington event was named after him. What was the Carrington event, you might well ask? Well, that flare came at us with a major rider attached to it, a huge coronal mass ejection that hit us 17.6 hours later. Coronal mass ejections are mainly composed of electrons and protons. Since those electrons and protons have, respectively, negative and positive charges, they wreak havoc on our magnetic field, making it surge stronger and weaker, back and forth across the planet. The Earth's magnetic field twerks, as it were, the twerking continuing for as long as it takes for the mass of particles to go by. Now, we all remember our basic high school physics, don't we? What happens when you wiggle a magnetic field around an electrical conductor? Well, don't we? Do I hear crickets chirping? Telegraph operators around the world back in 1859 had a direct experience of what happens when a magnetic field twerks around a copper telegraph network. Electricity is generated. Sparks were reported flying off the key onto the operator's hand, some getting burns from the shock. Sparks flew off insulators on the telegraph poles. Operators disconnected the batteries that powered the lines, but were still able to key in messages using the induced current. Some wires melted. There's plenty of evidence that such things have hit the Earth in the past relatively frequently, geologically speaking. Here's a hypothetical quasi question. What effect would a Carrington scale coronal mass ejection have today? The answer is not at all hypothetical or quasi. It would blow out most of our satellites, electricity grid, cell phone network, radios, TVs, cell phones, computers. Anything with an electrical conductor in it could be toasted, even your toaster. Need we worry? Surely, knowing that such things are likely to happen, our engineers, our governing bodies, our corporate masters have more than adequately prepared things to get us up and running toot sweet. You know, an adequate supply of backup electricity transformers and such emergency plans and similar reasonable precautions, like putting our electrical grid underground and shielded. Perhaps in a happier alternate reality, our leaders have done so, but not in this timeline. When the next big coronal mass ejection hits us, it will be, as my college buddy Weird Ward would say, toot toot kablooey. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
Toot, toot, kablooey. God, can't. What can you say about that? I mean, really. Toot, toot, kablooey. You still with me, Dean?
Yeah, I am. I was the mic volumes have turned down or something, or yours turned down.
Can you hear me now?
It's better, yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I had it pushed away during the thing so that you
Yeah,
didn't have to hear me mouth breathe or choke back the nausea, as it were. God, you know, all that good stuff that as sick people tend to be.
it gets better than that, and I want to do a quasi. I mean, what I described with the Carrington event, it's getting worse. The sun does a micronova about every 10, 12,000 years. That's what took out the megafauna.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is people don't anything that's electronic that is turned on is gonna fry. Now I'm still gonna be able to go out there and start my 1979 ATC 200 because it's got points and a pull start. So I'm still going to have spark and I'm still going to be able to drive that thing around while everybody else's car is looking for parts. Just remember that. I'm not as stupid as I look.
As long as the massive coronal mass ejections from the micronova don't hit this side of the planet.
Right. Well, then we're all melted goo anyhow. So, it won't really matter at that point.
Except for the military personnel hiding in at Strategic Air Command shelter.
Yeah, or Area 52 in Utah, or half a dozen other scraped out places that those little cockroaches can run.
Yeah.
Speaking of not cockroaches, these are my favorite people in the world. Let's say hello to the people that are hanging out live with us tonight. See if we can't say hi to Shane Barber. Hello there, Mr. Barber. Glad you are with us tonight live, sir. There's Miss Bella Allegria. Glad you are with us and feeling well, ma'am. There's the Reverend Timothy McCune. Hello, Reverend. There is Mr. Aaron, and I'm sure Mary Duncan is sitting right next to him watching the show with us live tonight. Hello there. Can't wait till June. Get up there and do some gold mining and camping with you guys. Miss Natalie Smith, I'm sure her and Wheezy are sitting by on the couch watching us on the YouTubes. Hey, honey, that guy with the beard's on the YouTubes. Come on, it's time.
Two guys with beards.
Yeah, two guys with beards tonight. That's right. Fabulous beards at that. Oh. And there's the Mr. Frank G. Hello there, Mr. Frank G. I'm glad you are with us tonight as well. Y'all have to forgive me. I am having a moment. Don Rife. There he is, the Viking himself. Hello, Mr. Don Rife. Glad you are with us. Jeremy Crotio. Do we finally think that that's the right pronunciation of that? I'm pretty sure.
Croto.
Croto.
Pretty sure it's Croto, yeah.
Croto.
Like Frodo, but Croto.
Oh, God. I thought I
got
over that cold, but he's back. Hey, buddy, we're glad you were with us live tonight, man. Travis Bumpy. Yeah, glad you made it back again live, too. Hello. Taylor Harkins, Merry Christmas to you as well. Glad everything's going to work out. Here in California, we're all on lockdown, so we can't go see any family for Christmas because they're threatening $1,250 fines if you're not an essential person and you get caught out in the wild. Yeah. What's your name, Paul? And this is between y'all. Hey, there's Miss Karen Robb. Hello, Miss Karen Robb. If I said hi to you earlier, well, we already suggest my cognitive abilities are a little off tonight. So hello to you again. Obsidian Radio. He made it. That's right. Hello there, Obsidian Radio. Who else? Am I missing anybody else? Your Hobo Man 5 got in late but slid into the plate. That's right. Safe. That's all that counts is the run. And I believe, everybody, that is the end of the line. That's right.
You missed this one.
Who's that? Mr. Fang?
No, the bird.
Oh, hello there, Birdie.
Yeah, this is Chloe.
Miss Chloe.
Yeah, it's getting near her bedtime, so she's.
Can she say Chloe?
No, but she says bird just fine. Bird.
Bird. That's what most of that's like mine. You know, all I ever wanted was a bird that could talk. All I ever do is tell him to shut up. Yeah. It's just the way it ends up going, and I don't really know why. So, oh man, toot kablooey. That's right.
He'd say that. I'll say one more thing about my college friend Ward. One day
Ward. Let's get it straight.
Weird Ward. One day he comes out of the, he got a little living suites, 5-6 rooms shared with somebody else, and there's a common bathroom. One day he comes out of the bathroom. He's in his undershorts, and he makes a point of showing that he's shaved off the hair below his belly and above his crotch. And he did it to give his belly button its freedom to wander about.
Well, my milkshake brings all the girls to the yard because my belly's smoother than theirs. My belly's, I don't know. Tom Graham showed up late to the party, but we will say hello to Mr. Tom Graham as well. Weird Walt wanted his belly to just shake its booty free.
Yeah, just belly button wander around like a balloon with no core.
Booty, shake your booty. Come on. Oh, God, that's funny. All right. Well, since I don't see any questions on the last two of them here on the screen, let's give it a run for the final third one. Evidence that Bigfoot is not Gigantopithecus. That's one of my favorites, actually. So let's give it a run and see how it sounds.
Scientific evidence that Bigfoot is not a Gigantopithecus. Grover Krantz was the first to propose that Sasquatches are descendants of some species of Gigantopithecus. There are 3 known species of Gigantopithecus: Blackie, Belosperensis, and Giganteus. Belosperensis fossils have been found in India. Giganteus fossils are from North India and Western China. Blackie is the youngest of the species, and fossils are from Eastern China. Gigantopithecus blackie is therefore the culprit most likely to have been able to cross over the Bering Straits land bridge, since its youngest fossils are from about 100,000 years ago, and lowered sea levels from glaciation would have exposed the land bridge. Lots of different animal species did likewise, and migrated between the North American continent and Asia in both directions. Camelids, such as camels and llamas, evolved in North America and scooted to Asia via that land bridge, for example. Gigantopithecus blackie's diet is known to have been fibrous plants consisting of leaves and various grasses, especially bamboo. Bamboo seems to have been its favorite food, based on analyses of plant debris ground into the teeth that have been found. An interesting side note: Gigantopithecus teeth were first identified by an anthropologist. They were found in 1935 by Ralph von Koenigswald in an apothecary shop in China. They were being sold as dragon teeth. Now, relative to the scientific evidence that Bigfoot is not a kind of Gigantopithecus, the evidence comes from an experiment I have been conducting for quite some time. Regular viewers of the Squatchers Lounge podcast will recall that I came to the aid of the Reverend Jeff and Mr. Batdorf, pseudoscientists, back in August, when Mr. Batdorf suddenly had the urge to wed his longtime female companion, and therefore was unable to uphold his end of that week's podcast. We all hope and presume that, contrary to rumors, shotguns were not involved in inducing the marriage proposal. But I digress. In that podcast, I demonstrated that, contrary to rational thinking, there are indeed occasional Bigfoot sightings in the general Chicago area, some even within a mile or two of my house. Parenthetically, the name Chicago translates to smelly or skunk, onions, in language of the Miami Illini people who lived here. So maybe what we have here are skunk apes. But again, I digress. Based on the fondness of Gigantopithecines for bamboo and the occasional nearness of Bigfoot to my house, I planted hardy bamboo around my house. I now have the largest patch of bamboo that I have knowledge of for several miles around. It has been here for almost 10 years now. After 10 years, I have found no evidence of any Bigfoot feeding on that bamboo. Nary a footprint, odd-looking hairs, nary a gifting, nor portal demons have left any trace, physical, psychic, or otherwise. I can confidently therefore announce that Bigfoot is not any kind of Gigantopithecus. I have caught a couple 3 pandas, though. They have a nice pelt and taste like chicken. This has been Dean Cooper, quasi-scientist, enlightening you with my quasi theory of the week. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
They taste pretty good and a little bit like chicken.
I'm surprised I threw that in there since I'm a vegetarian.
I know. That was my exact thought, Dean. I was like, wow, a vegetarian talking about how pandas taste like chicken.
Yeah, but if you remember my goblin one from, what was it, 3 weeks ago, I said they taste like chicken too.
Everything tastes like chicken, Dean. Don't you know that? You weren't a vegetarian your whole life.
No, since I was 1971, so I would have been 19.
So you ate plenty of stuff that tasted like chicken. You know that most stuff tastes like chicken. Oh, that's just.
And I know common snapping turtle tastes like chicken, but a little bit fishy.
You got to cut the legs out and just use the top of the muscles in the stew, because that's the sweetest part of the meat.
That's what my dad did.
Yeah, man, that's the sweetest part.
I have another remembrance about that snapping turtle, because when my dad cut its head off, it kept snapping.
Yeah, dumbass.
An hour and a half. He got the heart out for me, and the heart sat on a paper towel and beat for about an hour and a half outside of the snapping turtle.
And if you'd have sprinkled it with a little bit of salt after it stopped beating, it would have started back up again.
Yeah.
I mean, animals are, organs are resilient things. They really, really are. I keep seeing these commercials that talk about how to turn plants into meat, and I keep telling myself, we already have this ability to turn plants into meat. They're called cows. If you really want to turn plants into meat, we have plenty of animals that already do that. I mean, why do you need an end result of meat from plants? I thought the whole point of eating plants was to not eat meat. So now they're trying to convince me, a meat eater, that plant-based meat is somehow better than that cow.
Well, I won't go into a long dissertation about that. I think there's plenty of reasons to do it. For one thing, the pea protein, the peas, what they're growing and getting the protein from, doesn't fart, so there's no methane.
Yeah, but then what are you going to do for natural gas?
Well, that's probably actually generated deep underground in a later.
No, not here in California. It's literally generated by cow shit. Cow shit and cow farts drop down in, and they actually process it here in California into natural gas that they put back into the system and sell it. It's crazy. Anyhow, Rod Dupree showed up late. Let's see. This isn't a show about cow shit. No, the Gigantopithecus theory is something I've never backed. I've never really understood why people thought that a special orangutan that ate bamboo in China caves so far south from the land bridges of friggin' Russia. It just didn't make any. It would be like saying that a kangaroo was the basis for mammoths in North America. It's really that they really are that far apart. Other than maybe they're both apes. I don't know. Isn't the kangaroo related to an elephant though?
No, kangaroos are marsupials.
That's right. That's right. They're related to opossums, but
Opossums. Yeah.
Way down yonder on a possum. No. Timey kangaroo down sport, but yeah, I never really, and those are.
I was in high school when that song came out, and it never was clear to me exactly why they were tying a kangaroo down.
Because you were going to lop its head off and eat it. Kangaroo meat is very lean, yummy.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And we need to say hi to Mr. Rod Dupree because he is finally in the place to be. And Natalie Smith went to sleep on us because she didn't hear the alarm bells. So we'll say hi to her again. And Miss Wheezy's probably sitting beside her now. But y'all have missed like the entire show. So I don't know what to tell you. Go back and watch the replay.
Okay.
But yeah, wallabies and kangaroo. No, there's a lot of places that eat wallaby and kangaroo. That's good bush meat. But we were talking about the Gigantopithecus.
Yeah.
Got to keep going back to it. I told you.
You don't even really know for certain that they could walk upright even.
No.
Based on the angle of the what's that? Occipital area at the back of the neck.
Yeah, and if you if you look at all the Australopithecus breakoffs, we've only found about none. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of how many species broke off and tried to get the hell out of Africa by standing up and walking out, we found like 8 out of probably 80,000 that are going to be similar but not the same. But
I probably said this before at some point, but okay, I was a biology geology major, and I had 2 courses in paleontology. And the one thing that the professors emphasized and that I could see going out in the field, well, actually stone quarries around Chicago and northwestern Illinois, most everything that lives leaves no trace that it was ever there. Most stuff never turns into a fossil.
Absolutely correct. People ask me, how many dead bears have you found in the woods? In 47 years, 1. And the only reason we found it was because it was in that 3-day smell. If it would have been one more day that we had gone up there, we'd have never found it. It was it either gotten hit by a car, hit by a bullet, or whatever, but it was crashed in underneath a bush. And we just never would have found it in that area if it wasn't stinking. I mean, that's literally.
There's 1 or 2 studies that have been done in Africa where, especially in areas where they're keeping close track of the elephant population, where the sick elephant suddenly just wanders off, but because of the tracking device, they found where it went to, and the elephants would be in a dense, thick part of a forest, and they kept track of it. Within a month, there was nothing left there. Virtually everything had been dragged off or crunched up.
To eat the bones, scavengers take everything, hair, teeth, you name it, it was gone. Well, we did an experiment with that bear that we had found. We decided we were going to leave it there for a month. Now, we had such a hard time finding it. We knew that nobody else was going to find it by the time we came back up there. So it had rained a couple of hard times, and it was on a good slope where it was laying. And when we went back, there was nary a sign. Yeah. Like if you didn't know that there was a bear there a month ago, you'd have never known to look for bear parts. I mean, there was a little bit of hair left over. When we went back the following year, there was nothing. It just wiped completely clean off the mountain.
Well, hell, there's okay, my wife, way back when she was in high school, her family used to drive out to Las Vegas all the time. At some point, she found a cow skull. Well, actually, a steer with classic horns coming out, not a longhorn. So she kept it. We had it. We've had it since we got married. With us, and she decided it would look good hanging in our backyard. It is now, there's only the base of the skull left because the squirrels have been chewing it up for calcium.
Yep. I know people that actually put antler sheds out for the squirrels on purpose.
Yeah.
Just to keep them away from their gardens and stuff. Literally give them something else to chew on and eat on rather than, feed them their gardens. But all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here for this edition there, Mr. Dean Cooper. Are you going to get back to making us some new ones this coming season, I hope?
I'm really hoping so, but as you and I have talked privately, when I had that last spinal fusion, my fifth one, it kind of just...
You scared us. You scared us. I mean, you weren't yourself for a long time, and then you disappeared on us. We panicked,
Well, I was on painkillers, not the real heavy duty ones, but the one called Tramadol.
Yeah, and it definitely affecting the way that you interacted with everything.
Yeah, I was always in a fog.
Yeah, and now you've definitely made lots of gains and repairs. Me personally, I'm going to get back to the book. This whole COVID year has just been a disaster for me, but I've got to push forward. I got to start looking towards things. I'm gonna start pushing more fingers on these keyboards. I gotta get some work done. So maybe I get me a Chromebook I can write in bed while I'm sick. I don't know. As far as that goes, California is the absolute worst place in the world to try and see a doctor right now. Can't do much. I'm trying. Can't get anybody on the phone. You're not allowed to go see anybody in person. Doctors' offices aren't answering their lines. They have skeleton staffs. If this is about a health crisis, they are screwing everybody but COVID people. Because I don't know if it's my heart. I don't know what the hell it is. It's what's scary about it. So I'll try and keep you guys posted on what's going on. And if I go to the hospital for some reason, I'll have the wife update and let you guys know where everything's happening. But with that,
well, Jeff, I really enjoy doing these shows with you. If you want me to do some more sometime, just let me know and we'll figure something out.
Yeah, let's definitely next year. Let's pick up some returns of Deans for some topic.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I love it. I love it when you're on too.
Hopefully, I'll be able to crank some more out. I've got ideas in my head, but then when I go to write them down, because I will, I'm not boasting, but to do a 2.5, 3-minute quasi theory, I've got about 5-6 hours of work behind it.
Brother man, for me to do a 6-minute Bigfoot campfire story, I have 3 days of work.
Yeah, I could see
3
that. Yeah.
days of scripting and researching and creative, creative oomph. Really takes a good 3 days to make a Bigfoot campfire story. And ever since YouTube took away my monetization and just trampled all over me, my creative function has just been on hold, but I'm going to make that better.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
that's exactly right, folks. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you next week, same time. I think, next week is the same time. And may the Squatch be with you. Love you all.